She's got long legs and short shorts, but she ain't got no teeth. She wears a red bandana on her head and she smiles so sweet. She'll steal your heart at very first sight, she'll rip apart your soul. She'll torture your mind and waste your time and drag you down the road, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel.
Welcome back to the St. Andrews Jezebel podcast. This is Ashley Feller. I'm a third-generation Panama City native, musician and singer-songwriter. Can you hardly believe it? The podcast is now up to episode 24. It seems just like yesterday since I started in September. This week, I'll be sharing music and community events for the upcoming weekend of April 16th through the 18th. And this week's featured Salty Local is Jason Hedden, who is a writer, comedian, educator, and administrator at Gulf Coast State College, and he's also a passionate advocate for the arts in St. Andrews. Did you know that slot machines were once legal here in Bay County? Keep listening to learn more about it, because I'll be reading a selection from the St. Andrews Bay News, which was published this week in 1934. Making these episodes has been a wonderful outlet for me, y'all. I want to thank everyone for all your support. To help the podcast even more, please leave me a review on YouTube and your podcast platform of choice. I'd really appreciate your help. Got a lot of exciting things to share. Get your favorite beer, a glass of iced tea, or whatever wets your whistle, and get ready to enjoy episode 24 of the St. Andrews Jezebel podcast. The weather last weekend was pretty scary. Let's hope for clearer skies this week. A great way to start your weekend in St. Andrews is to take the historic walking tour with Ellen. Be sure to be at the Panama City Publishing Museum at 1134 Beck Avenue by 1 p.m. After the tour, bring your friends to the Shrimp Boat for a lovely seafood dinner and jazz by class act. Local favorite Anthony Peebles is playing music for you at Los Angejitos starting at 6 p.m. And if you look across Lake Ware, you'll see a great big palapa hut. That's Little Village. This is a great place to shop, enjoy Caribbean-style grub from Finn's, relax, and best of all, enjoy live music in an intimate setting. It's almost like a listening room, but much more relaxed. This Friday night, they will have music by the one and only Janelle Frost, who is one of the many favorites of this area. Also, this Friday afternoon at 6, you could stroll down to the tap room for beers and music by New Orleans-style funk band Oku Groove. Tap room frequently has food trucks, and I believe Get You a Box is there that night. There's also a very special art receptioning happening at Tap Room. Stay tuned for more information on that in the following segment. If you desire a romantic and elegant dining experience, then waltz over to Uncle Ernie's. It's on Bayview Avenue and it overlooks St. Andrews Bay. This Friday night, there will be music by John Cannon, who plays a great variety of songs from the 70s forward. The Sons of Saints will be at the House of Bourbon. Shout out to Mike Thompson, who hosts Radio Cosmo, which airs every Friday night starting at 9 p.m. on WKGC. Then closing out your evening is Mitch Edwards at the Salty Hobo, and I believe that starts at 8 or 9 p.m. The market at St. Andrews is every Saturday morning and opens in the lot next to the Shrimp Boat. There are a number of fantastic arts and crafts vendors, food trucks, and live music brought to you by Floriopolis that begins at 10 a.m. By the way, the market is always looking for different musicians, so if you're interested in performing, please send an email to ashley.feller@gmail.com, or you could always private message the podcast. The Floriopolis Music and Art Tent is located by the food trucks close to Beck Avenue. If it's time for brunch, then you could visit the tap room and enjoy music by Tyler James. Liza's Munchie Machine will be there, and Patches to Go will also be at the tap room later that day, I believe. Joseph Brooks is singing his songs for you at 1 p.m. at Little Village, and Class Act is also returning to the Shrimp Boat at 5 p.m. Chris Wade is playing the evening set for you at Little Village starting at 6 p.m., and Jay Smith is back at Uncle Ernie's at 7 p.m., and in case you missed them, Sons of Saints is playing again for you upstairs at the House of Bourbon, And closing out your evening is Dominique and Ryan at the Salty Hobo beginning at 8 or 9 p.m. Sunday Fun Day is the best in St. Andrews. This week for brunch, Jimmy Ward is playing at Alice's on Bayview, and the music begins around 10:30 a.m. if I'm not mistaken. Christy Leanne is singing her beautiful songs for y'all at the tap room beginning at noon. Hit the brakes, y'all. The Wabi Sabis will be playing at the tap room this Sunday at 6 p.m. I haven't seen these gals all together in a long time. Seriously, you cannot not have a good time when you're listening to them. Mark your calendars, set your reminders, tie a string around your finger and hope it's still there on Sunday. Whatever you need to do, make sure you go see the Wabi Sabis at the tap room this Sunday at 6 p.m. This Sunday isn't wonderful enough. Jay Smith is playing again for you at Uncle Ernie's starting at 7 p.m. This concludes the music events for the upcoming weekend of April 16th through 18th. Special thanks to Ken Schaefer, who is the admin for Salty Sounds in St. Andrews, and Oh Boy Music on Facebook. I appreciate you, Ken, for providing a comprehensive guide that helps locals find out where all the music is in Panama City. Thank you so much for everything you do. Now for some community events. It's almost time to vote, Ward 4. Don't forget, early voting for Ward 4 Commissioner ends tomorrow on April 16th, and Election Day is April the 20th. It's important you review the candidates so that you can vote for the best one to be the next Commissioner of Ward 4. A Commissioner's term lasts 4 years. Just a reminder, a voter registration application form must be filed before you can vote in any election. If you aren't registered to vote, you can pick up the forms at the Bay County Supervisor of Elections office. The Supervisor of Elections office is located at 830 West 11th Street in Panama City. Florida voter registration forms are also available at City Hall and the Bay County Public Library. For more information about registering to vote or to find out if you are registered to vote in city elections, call the Bay County Super of Elections office. The phone number is 850-784-6100. You can also visit the Supervisor of Elections office website for more information. On April 17th, there will be a community mural painting day at Oakland Terrace Park. This is a collaborative project between the Visual Arts Department at Gulf Coast State College, Panama City Quality of Life Department, and you from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. This was recently seen on Facebook. Business owner Bobby Beard is looking to sell the library on Beck. Hit him up if you're interested in being a Salty St. Andrews merchant. The St. Andrews Walking Tour is every Wednesday and Friday, led by Ellen, starting at the Panama City Publishing Museum. The tour begins at 1 and starts in the office of Mr. and Mrs. West, who were vital to the development of St. Andrews in the 1930s. The walk is relaxing and leisurely, and Ellen does a fantastic job sharing the stories of the early days of St. Andrews. Whether you're new to town, just visiting, or you've lived here for 50 years, I strongly recommend taking the tour. You might feel a deeper connection to the community. You won't regret it. Panama City Comedy and the Library on Beck present a comedy open mic every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. This is hosted by Janet Fortune. Sign up in person at 7:30 p.m. and all experience levels are welcome. The Library on Beck invites all you singer-songwriters to their weekly open mic/collaboration night with no host. They'll set up the sound system and mic, and whenever you feel like it, you can take the stage. Come share ideas, share music, and get salty. Only at the Library on Beck. This starts at 6 p.m. I want to take a moment to tell you about a young artist in our community. She's actually my friend's daughter. Her name is Grace Cole, and she's the daughter of Matt Cole and Casey Cole, whom you might know from the Tap Room and also Holy Nativity Episcopal School over in the Cove. Grace is having her first art reception at the Tap Room this weekend, April 16th through 18th from 6 to 9. The name of the event is called Identity Through Sound, and this features the work of Noah Holder, Grace Cole, Philip Kundo, Sari Rodriguez, Kristen Thompson, and Dean Woods. My apologies if I pronounced any of the names incorrectly. These are students from the Visual and Performing Arts Division at Gulf Coast State College, so let's all show our support for them at their reception this weekend at the Tap Room. I hear they have lovely beers too. The Floriopolis songbirds almost blew away in the storm we had last Saturday morning. A whole section of the fence lifted up and off. Thankfully, Annie Mae, our steadfast volunteer, got it fixed Monday. How? By walking across the street to the crew working on rebuilding the captain's table and asking for help. One of the guys came over and fixed it right up. Annie Mae was so thrilled, and he was so happy to help. And he was kin to one of our volunteers from our old place, Kelly Davis. How cool is that? Sometimes even we forget what a great place St. Andrews is. Thank you so much, neighbor. Salty Cat Day is next Saturday, April 24th. Don't forget to vote for your favorite cat for the Salty Kitty Committee. The event will take place at the market at St. Andrews, and donations raised on Salty Cat Day will benefit the Salty Cat Rescue of St. Andrews. This will help out with building durable shelters for the kitties, as well as services like spaying and neutering, and it's also not too late to register your cat. Visit saltycatday.com to register your cat and to vote for the rest of the adorable kitties featured on the site. Each vote is $1 and will benefit Salty Cats of St. Andrews. Make sure you cast your vote for my two kitties, Andy and Kensington. Last week, I had the pleasure of meeting at Floriopolis with Jason Hedden, who is an actor, an educator, an administrator for the Visual and Performing Arts Division at Gulf Coast State College, and he's also part of the Panama City Comedy, which performs monthly at the House of Bourbon right here in St. Andrews. It was great to talk with Jason about all the things his students are up to at Gulf Coast, and also to learn more about the upcoming comedy nights here in St. Andrews. Stay tuned for the full interview, y'all. I hope y'all enjoy. Good morning, Jason. It's clear that you're a multifaceted artist. You're a teacher, you're an actor, a director, a poet, and you also juggle. We could probably go on and on about all the things you do, but first, before we elaborate on that, I'd first like to ask you, how'd you find yourself here in Bay County?
Well, Ashley, thanks for having me. Bay County, I was a military brat. My dad retired from the Navy, and we moved down here in 92, 93, something like that, when he retired. I just remember starting Mosley the day after spring break, my sophomore year. So not the best time to start a new school. That's how I ended up here.
Oh, wow. And that's how a lot of people end up here, with the Navy base and with Tyndall. So I hear about your involvement with building a local comedy scene. Can you please tell me about that, and what's that experience been like?
Oh, sure. I got into stand-up comedy, I guess, almost 3 years ago now, just as another creative outlet. Justin Butler, who's a former student of mine, really grew the scene here years ago. And in the last about year and a half, Emma Franco and I officially formed Panama City Comedy. And so we produce shows all around Bay County. In fact, we just went out of county. We just did a show in Port St. Joe a couple weeks ago. But yeah, there's shows happening all over town, 4 to 6 times a month. And we're partnering with local venues, and not unlike yourself and other musicians that are gigging around town. We're gigging around town just with comedy. So
I love that. Anything coming up at St. Andrews soon?
We're at House of Bourbon, which was one of our first venues, every third Thursday of the month at 7:30. So that's not to be missed. It's $10 every third Thursday of the month. It's easy to remember, and we're always there. Awesome venue. Hard to find the first time if you've never been there. It's above Barefoot Bar and Grill,
right,
and behind the shrimp boat. So if you can find it, that's half the battle. But we're always there. We bring in comedians from all over the region, and it's a good time. And then we've got other shows in town, on the beach, and you can find us at Panama City Comedy on all of the social media, or at PanamaCityComedy.com.
Well, how fun is that? What time does the show start at House of Bourbon?
It's a 7:30 show.
Wonderful. And you're also the head of the Fine Arts Department at Gulf Coast State College. What's that experience been like? And can you tell me about the Fine Arts program in general at Gulf Coast State College?
Sure. Years ago, they changed the title from Fine Arts to Visual and Performing Arts.
Okay.
So we have art, music, theater, and entertainment technology. Entertainment tech is basically anything that supports live performance. So lighting, video, sound, stagecraft, all of that. So, yeah, I was actually a student at Gulf Coast 25 years ago. And then in 2008, I returned as a faculty member, as a theater professor. And then in 2015, I took over as chair of visual and performing arts. So I still teach, but I teach less and have some more administrative duties. And we've got a great group of faculty in the department, and we offer classes and degree programs in art, music, theater, and entertainment tech. Now, you don't have to be a major. If you're at Gulf Coast and you're studying nursing and you play the trumpet and you want to join the band, come on over. That's the one misconception I think people think. You have to be a major in order to take our classes. And I know that you are a former student as well, and you've done a lot of stuff with us, and Dave Schwartz over there with Boundless Sounds in the recording studio. So we have all kinds of stuff going on. And in fact, registration is open now for summer classes.
Oh, well, that's good news. And I can never be grateful enough to the Boundless Sounds program, because without it, I probably would not have an album.
Well, that's cool. I know I love the things the projects that you've collaborated on, and Dave Schwartz does some great stuff over there with the students, but we've always got room for more people. The recording classes won't start up again until August,
right.
But registration for fall classes will start up in May. And information about all this you can find at gulfcoast.edu/arts, or you can find me. I'm all over social media and pretty easy to find.
Awesome. Well, are there any performances we should know about coming out of that department coming up soon?
Yes, Shakespeare Remixed. There's one weekend left. We're April 16th through 18th, 3 performances left of Shakespeare Remixed. This is a collection of some of the best-loved scenes from Shakespeare's plays. And we're allowing 50 people in the theater for each of the 3 performances, but we're also live streaming it for free on YouTube. So you've got 2 different options, and information for that is also on our website at gulfcoast.edu/arts.
That's awesome. I just love that there's been this renaissance of Shakespeare, because I hear there's another group in town that's going to do Shakespeare in the Park. That's got to be cool.
Oh, that's exciting.
Are there any visual art exhibits that are coming up at Gulf Coast we should know about?
Yeah, the student art exhibit actually opens on April 19th. So this is work created by our visual arts students throughout the entire year, and this is their annual showcase. If you've been to the Amelia Center Gallery, Pavel Amroman does a fantastic job. People come in and they're like, wow, this is really good for student artwork. We appreciate the compliment, but frequently during the year, those are professional artists that we're featuring from all over the country. And then this is our one exhibit of the year that's exclusively student work, and that will run April 19th through April 30th in the Amelia Center Gallery, which is the lobby of the Amelia Center Theater.
Well, I look forward to checking that out. I always have a great time when I visit Gulf Coast State College. I love going into that gallery lobby area and just taking in everything that's there. I remember you recently put out an audio album that are poems that were inspired by the healing that many of us had to go through after the natural disaster of Hurricane Michael. If I recall correctly, it's a collection of poems from your Facebook group, The Art of Michael. Is that correct? And would you mind sharing some information about that?
Sure. We have such a strong artistic community here, especially for a community this size, across all the different genres and mediums. But like many people, I found myself in the wake of Hurricane Michael looking for a creative outlet. And for me, that came in the form of poetry, which is strange because I don't really consider myself a writer. I'm more of a verbal person, but I was literally unable to speak, literally unable to articulate verbally what we were going through as a community. And that was really my only way. And I shared a bunch of these poems on Facebook for 40 days or so after the storm. And then as a way of marking the 2-year anniversary, I decided to release some of them and created, which I guess would be called a spoken word album, technically. I had to figure all that out, but I worked with my buddy Jay Smith, and he added some music and did all the recording for me. And it lives out there, and the easiest place to find it is on my website at jasonhedden.com, Hedden, and there's a link in the store. Any proceeds from that album go to ongoing hurricane relief. And some people might think, well, it's been 2.5 years. Surely there's not still a need. There certainly is.
Absolutely.
For the people that still live here know that it's ongoing. Now, we're not talking about a lot of money, as you know, from downloads and things like that. But it was just nice to get it out there into the world. And it was a project that helped me, and it's been pretty inspiring to see that the words were beneficial to someone else. I know you experienced that with your music, create something that's so personal, and then for someone else to find value and meaning in it is pretty special. So I just consider myself lucky to be part of a community that continued to thrive post Hurricane Michael.
Absolutely. It's wonderful to see how the community uses art as a coping mechanism, and how even if you were an artist in some way, shape, or form before, how it might project itself into another medium. For example, this podcast was born out of me needing an outlet during the pandemic. I understand that you've traveled all around, having come from a military family. I'm assuming you've lived other places.
I have, yeah.
For your friends you have in other places, what would you tell them about St. Andrews, and what places would you recommend them to visit and experience and eat and drink?
Oh, wow. Anything. There's so many good things in St. Andrews. I'm almost hesitant to name them because you're going to miss out. Downtown Panama City is really starting to grow. But, in recent years, St. Andrews has been the place to be. I have a colleague that says he lives on this street or close by just because he's in walking distance of so many great restaurants. That was literally his criteria. You can't go wrong with the restaurants and the bars and things that are here. We're in Florianopolis. This has always sort of been the mecca in its current location and its former location. So if you don't know where to start, probably the best thing to do is come by the Printing Museum or come by Florianopolis, and they can always direct you to all the great things that are happening here in historic St. Andrews. Of course, we love being at the House of Bourbon because that's where we're doing comedy. Uncle Ernie's has been rebuilt, and it's beautiful. So many great things. We've got a comedy open mic. It's going to be starting up at the library on April 21st, so that'll be the first comedy open mic in town.
Wow.
Comedy specific. A lot of the comedians right now attend other open mics, like Casey Phelps is very open and friendly to comedians to mix in there with the musicians, but that's going to be comedy specific. So that's our new favorite venue because that's where all the comedians are going to be hanging out from 8 to 10 on Wednesdays starting on April 21st.
Well, how cool is that? One of the hopes that I have for St. Andrews, or just Bay County in general, is to see a real legitimate comedy club someday. If you go to larger cities, they have them. We should have them too. Everyone needs their place, and especially the comedians. So I'm going to back up just a moment. My ADD brain kicked in. So if not art, then what?
That's a good question. My son is in 6th grade. He's going to be in 7th next year, and we were talking about it, and I told him 7th grade was when I got into theater. That's when I got bitten by the bug. We had this drama teacher who took all the wannabe class clowns and put them in this class called drama, and we spent 2 years recreating the original Saturday Night Live sketches. And I just found something that for the first time I was actually pretty good at. And I was like, yeah, this is it. And the arts and theater specifically has been good to me. I met my wife through the theater. I have friends all over the world because of the theater. I get to have a job that I enjoy because of the theater. I get to do things like this and talk to you because of the theater. I think the thing that's been most surprising for me is that in recent years, I've developed so much more of an appreciation for other art forms and, and writing and music. And, being part of a strong visual and performing arts program.
Well, we absolutely love everything that you do for the arts community. It's wonderful. Why do you specifically believe that it's vital to have art in the community?
Well, in any community, I think it's vital. It brings people together. We're starting to see how excited people get with the murals that are popping up downtown and throughout the community, or the stickers that are going on the electrical boxes, the artwork. It brings people together. It gets people out there. The economic impact is well documented. One of our goals with comedy specifically is to bring business to venues on their slower nights. So we're creating artistic opportunities for people, but we're also helping the local economy by bringing more business to our local business partners. I really can't imagine a strong, vibrant community without a strong art community. I think they go hand in hand.
Yes, I can't either. Absolutely. So what advice do you give to your students who are still in the process of finding their creative path?
That's a good question. It's funny, in class yesterday, we just had a conversation. This week, we're talking specifically about the business of show business. And I think that's something, and I'm using that as all-inclusive. I think it's something, as colleges, we tend to struggle in that area. We struggle so much that it's hard for me to even say it, right? We could do a better job of preparing visual and performing arts students for the business side of things. Just things like taxes, just things about having a contract, just knowing how to name your rate the first time someone asks you how much, because when you're first starting out, a lot of times it's like, well, I would be doing this for free, but the longer you get into it, you start to realize, okay, I've got rehearsal time built in, and I've got equipment, and I've got travel, and all kinds of things. So one of the things is just making sure that our students and artists in general are finding a happy balance between the creative, artistic side of things, and if this is something they actually want to make part of their lifestyle and their income, to make sure they're also balancing that out with the practical aspects, marketing and business. Some of them tend to be really good at social media, particularly the digital natives that I work with right now. But knowing what to do with some of that skill set is sometimes a different story. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do, is help, learn from my mistakes, learn from our mistakes. I just told them the other day, if you ever want me to look over a contract, or if you're negotiating a deal, you can use me for that forever, because I have people in my life that I do that for. And, we can reach out. I remember reaching out to you at one point, just asking about digital distribution and some of that stuff, because it's just not even on my radar. So we can certainly learn from each other. But balancing the practical and the creative, or the show and the business, if you will, is something that I'm currently focused on with students.
I really commend y'all for that. That is so smart and intelligent, because I can remember I started playing music professionally in my late teens in Bay County, and I went out on my own after playing with bands for several years, so I didn't really have that umbrella of security and protection from my peers. And those are the things I wish I knew about, that I had learned either from taking classes or from having the band experience, which someone else handled it, so I didn't absorb it. So I had to learn it for myself. But that you are including that in your classes, that is doing your students such a justice, because that's going to help them be really prepared for the real deal. You can be really talented, and if you don't know the business end, if you want to make money, then it could be a tough time. So how can folks find you online and beyond?
Well, anything related to visual and performing arts at the college, gulfcoast.edu/arts. Anything related to comedy in Bay County and beyond, PanamaCityComedy.com or Panama City Comedy on social media. For me personally, my writing or things that I'm doing as an actor or director, JasonHedden.com.
Well, thank you so much for taking your time to be here today at Floriopolis, and thank you for inviting me to all the things that you've included me in, the Zoom calls, the things at Gulf Coast State College, and your involvement with the arts in Floriopolis. And everybody, I hope you've enjoyed listening to this interview, and I hope you tune in next week for more. Till then, keep St. Andrews salty.
Slot machines were once legal in Bay County. This article is from the St. Andrews Bay News. The author is unknown, but it was published April 17th in 1934. I found this article on FloridaHiddenTreasures.com. This is called Slot Machines to be Licensed by City. At the regular meeting of the City Commission on Friday night, an ordinance was passed as an emergency measure to license slot machines. The license was fixed at $35 and $50 per year. As many slot machines are nothing more nor less than gambling devices operated in violence of the state laws, the effect of the city ordinance will be watched with interest. There have been many indictments, convictions, and confiscations of slot machines by enforcing the state laws in the past. It is claimed that there are over 100 slot machines operating in the county. Thank y'all so much for listening to episode 24 of the St. Andrews Jezebel podcast. We also have a Facebook page and an Instagram account. The pages will share when future episodes will be published and more information regarding the growth of the podcast. I hope you'll visit these pages, and you can show your support by liking, following, and sharing the pages with all your salty friends. Also, just a reminder, if you like what you heard today on this episode, please leave me a review on YouTube or your preferred podcast platform. Before I go, I need to let you know I'm hoping to share all kinds of public events. If you're having a yard sale or you'd like me to help you promote a special happening, please DM the podcast on Facebook, or you can email me at ashley.feller@gmail.com. The podcast is now available to stream on Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, CastBox, and Google Podcasts. I'd like to thank everyone who has subscribed and shared the podcast with all their salty friends. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Thank you again to everyone for supporting this effort. The intro music was written by me and recorded by Dave Schwartz at Boundless Sounds on the campus of Gulf Coast State College. The show was recorded by me in my music room. Till next time, keep St. Andrews salty.
Red lipstick, so thick, and a push-up bra. Tramp stamp, stretch marks, and a lacy thong, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel, 'cause she's a Jezebel, St. Andrew Jezebel.